Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Funny Games from 2007, the American remake of Funny Games from 1997. And eventually I did plan to watch both this version and the original back to back, but I just ran out of time and that didn't happen. And I had a lot of thoughts on this movie, and I really love this one. And from memory, I think I prefer this version over the 97 film, although I haven't seen it in a while. But from what I understand, it's a shot-for-shot remake. And like all of Michelle Haneke's films, it looks beautiful. Every shot has a purpose to it, and there are plenty of moments where it just goes on for a long time. And I just love how uncomfortable you can get from what's being shown. Even if nothing has happened yet or very little is happening in the shot, it's still very uncomfortable to look at. And overall, I found the movie to be pretty excellent, even when it came down to simple things like the acting. I thought it was all fantastic. Even the child performance was good. Unlike the 97 film, with like one exception, I am kind of familiar with some of the cast in this movie, like Naomi Watts and Tim Roth. They were both really great in this movie. And Brady Corbet, he was excellent in this movie as well. And for those who don't know him, he is now directing movies, and he most recently, as of recording this, directed The Brutalist, an Oscar-nominated film. Or I guess I could say an Oscar-winning film, because Adrian Brody won for Best Actor for that movie. But going back to Funny Games 2007, I love the introduction to the villains. I do feel as though how they're presented in this movie is very smart, and whenever it does certain aspects, it always feels earned and never comes across as goofy. And this movie knows exactly what it needs to be, and does so very successfully. The horror aspects are really effective and memorable. And it's basically, without spoiling anything, a home invasion movie with a twist put onto it. And I found that to be very compelling, and it's probably my favorite home invasion movie that I've seen. And the games in this movie were very tense, and I was on the edge of my seat at points, and I love the lack of music in this movie. So many scenes are without music, and it adds so much to the film. And there's like one song that's played, and that song is pretty memorable and fits the tone of the movie very well. I mean, there are moments where you do hear music other than that one song that's played 3 times, but it all has a purpose in the story, and that's why it never once bothered me. And like all of this director's films, I love how violence is done in this movie, making things more terrifying with its approach, without spoiling anything. And I think this movie worked better for me simply because I was familiar with the original. Not saying that you need to watch the original to enjoy this film, but for me personally, I felt as though I was kind of watching the original again, but this time it was in English, and not saying that was like the only difference. There are subtle changes here and there from what I can tell, but I wasn't able to pick up on probably a lot simply because I haven't seen the original in a little bit. I know it wasn't that long ago and it was only earlier this year, but to really know the differences from what I've heard, you would have to have both movies fresh in your head. Like watching them back to back is probably the best way to really note down the differences. And there was only like one thing that really stood out to me as a change from memory. But it didn't drag the movie down because it made changes. I do feel as though the film was doing exactly what it needed to, and also with me being familiar with where things were going, I do feel as though I was able to read into certain aspects of it more, because I didn't really have to necessarily pay attention too much to the plot in terms of where it was going, and I could just like pay attention to the filmmaking a bit more and what it was actually trying to say. And because of that, I feel as though I got a lot out of it. And sure, you might make the argument, oh, wouldn't you be able to do that if you were to rewatch the 97 film? Possibly. I would need to rewatch that to see whether or not that holds true, or maybe it's just that this movie was able to do these things a bit better, possibly. That's also something that could have happened. Again, there's only so much I can say from just one viewing of a movie, but I would love to rewatch this movie, and I could honestly rewatch this movie again right now, and it wouldn't bring down my day. It wouldn't bother me at all. I would just be enjoying the film so much and getting a lot out of it substance-wise. So definitely check this movie out whenever you get the chance. I thought it was pretty excellent. If you've never seen a Michelle Haneke film before, I would not recommend starting with this one, or even the 97 film. But I do think it's a movie you should check out at some point when you get around to Michelle Haneke's films. Like The White Ribbon, Cachet, and Amour are movies that are much easier to get into. And even Benny's Video to some extent. But anyways, like I've said before, when I was, I believe, talking about Amour, none of his movies are bad, and all consistently, like, really great for the most part. And he's just made movies that really connected with me. And honestly, he might be my favorite director since Stanley Kubrick. He's pretty high up there for me, and I love his movies a lot. So check this movie out whenever you get the chance. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Funny Games from 2007 a 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Funny Games 2007, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Caught Stealing. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching, and have a great day.